Horus Stun. It's the new meta stun deck that everybody is enjoying, and this is my version of Horus Stun, my new and rather innovative version, if I do say so myself. This deck has been a lot of fun to play with and is a very spicy, absolutely incredibly spicy deck. Loving this so far, very innovative, haven't seen anyone else with this particular build, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun to share with you guys. So first, let's talk about the big old bowl in the room, the Devil's Avatar. Originally what I was going to do was create like a Horus God card deck, then I sort of strayed away because I wanted something a little bit better that maybe I could run in real life until I saw the price. Oh my goodness, but this is the spice of this Horus Stun deck. The Devil's Avatar. If you don't know what this does, it's a evil god card, needs 3 monsters to tribute summon, and when it is normal summoned, your opponent cannot activate spell or trap cards for their next 2 turns. Also, he always has the strongest attack on the field, which is just, you know, icing on the cake. But preventing your opponent from activating spell and traps for 2 turns, 2 turns is more than enough for you to win with this deck. This is a Horus deck. Horus is all about OTK, and we have the Devil's Avatar to get rid of like anything that might be bigger than our Horus card. So it's fantastic and very spicy card to have in here. Not the best, as it doesn't negate monsters, but it does stop all spells, which is the most important thing, and traps if you're up against Trap Tricks or Labyrinth. Fantastic card and very easy to summon in this deck. Now, to summon it, we have, of course, the Horus engine. This is a Horus Stun deck, Devil's Avatar, Horus Stun. So the Horus engine is the main thing. So if you don't know what the Horus engine does, it's probably because you've been sleeping under a rock for the past year or half a year or so. What Horus does is, Horus is very nasty and extremely consistent. So it all revolves around the card King Sarcophagus. With this card, each turn you can send up to 4 times per turn. Is it 4 times per turn? Yeah. You can send a card from your hand to the graveyard to send a Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. Now, this card can be searched by the effect of MCD, who will not only search it, but also draw another card, great card, and puts himself in the graveyard. And MCD can be searched by the field spell, Walls of the Imperial Tomb. Fantastic. So, the goal of Horus is to get all 4 of our Horus monsters in the graveyard. We have 3 MCD since he's the main searcher of the deck, and the other ones don't do as much. We never want to see them in our hand, basically. So, when we put all of these in the graveyard, they each have a similar effect. That is, if you control King Sarcophagus, you can special summon them from your graveyard. Fun fact, this effect doesn't activate and therefore doesn't get negated by Light and Darkness Dragon, which is brilliant, absolutely fantastic, and just gives us 4 level 8s right off the bat. And with 4 level 8s, obviously you contribute 3 for Devil's Avatar, you contribute 2 for Light and Darkness, or you can go into your Xyz summon. So what we have in our extra deck is basically just stuff that's meant to just destroy. So we have for our rank 8s, if you need extra cards, Coach King Giant Trainer, great card to have in a rank 8 deck. But the main cards that we're going to go into is our number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, who once per turn can negate a monster effect, and our number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, who once per turn can negate a spell effect. Having these cards on the field will shut down a lot of decks and is probably the best bang for our buck that we can get with 2 level 8s. However, we also of course have 107, who can negate all monster effects on the field during the battle phase, so if you're going second, this might be a better choice. We have Draglubion, who can summon a dragon Xyz monster from our extra deck using another dragon Xyz monster. So in this case, we would normally go for our number 100 Numeron Dragon, who basically bare minimum has 17,000 attack. OTK, very easy, just like that. And we also have numbers 23 Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld, who can once per turn negate anything. The only problem with him is that he's like Light and Darkness Dragon, the effect is mandatory, so it will activate with the first card that our opponent plays. Another option, of course, we have 4 cards. We can go straight into Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, just like that, for 4 monster negates. So for the rest of our Horus engine, we have the trap card Canopic Protector, which gives us special summons once per chain of Horus monsters from our hand or graveyard, very spicy even during our opponent's turn, and the field spell Secret Village of the Spellcasters. If you control a spellcaster monster, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. we have a spellcaster. That would be M-City Glory of Horus. So if you can get this card on the field, you basically want to leave your M-City on the field to negate all of your opponent's spells. The other bonus of this is its downside. If you control no spellcasters, you cannot activate spell cards, but if you've got this card out, which you should only activate when you have your whole Horus set up with M-City, if you've got this card out, you don't need to activate any more spells for the rest of the duel. So doesn't matter if they get rid of M-City, it's like, okay, comes back next turn, no worries. So, yep, fantastic card. Yeah, just really, really great. Next we have our Light and Darkness engine. 3 copies of Light and Darkness Dragon. Very easy to summon with this deck, just needs 2 tributes, which we can get with our Horus cards, and he negates everything. Automatically negates everything 5 times per duel, basically, as long as he has attack points to decrease. So 5 times, negates everything, and is just like crispy card until your opponent gets rid of it. There's nothing that they can do. Speaking of Light and Darkness Dragon, we also have 3 Dark End Evaporation and 2 Light End Sublimation. Reason we have 2 Light End rather than 2 Dark Ends is 1, we need less cards in the deck. I want to swap out more for Light and Darkness Dragon. 2, Light and Darkness Dragon is a light monster in the hand, so you confuse it with Dark End Evaporation. If you don't know, what these cards do is they can special summon themselves by banishing your Dark End and Light End from your extra deck. Very easy to summon, and when they are on the field they have their own effects. He destroys stuff, he lowers attack, but also they can fuse together to summon your Light and Darkness Dragon Lord just off of their effects, confused from field or hand. Easy card, gets you a Light and Darkness Dragon with higher attack and also just negates everything, but he can only do it 3 times, which is unfortunate. But still, negates everything, just another way to get all of those negates. It also is another very easy way to get out another level 8 to go into our Xyz plays. This will enable us to go into both our Xyz monsters as well as keeping M-City on the field for a Secret Village, so that's another option as well. Next we have a very small Kashtira engine with a couple unicorns, Fenrir, and the spells Pressure Planet. We've got Kashtira Theosis and Kashtira Birth. If you don't know this engine, ideally you special summon Unicorn. Unicorn's effect will add your Theosis to the hand. Theosis will then special summon Fenrir from your deck. There are other ways to go about it. That's the main combo. That's the best one that you want to do to get both of them on the field. When they're both on, Fenrir can once per turn, either player's turn, banish stuff. Banish your opponent's cards, which is really great, and Unicorn can banish your opponent's extra deck, which is, again, fantastic. Kashtira Birth can bring them back from the graveyard, which is great, just resetting our field, keeping the pressure on, and Pressure Planet can add a Kashtira monster from the deck to the hand and also gives all of your monsters extra attack. Next, since we have so many field spells in this deck, we of course run the best field spell engine, the Crystal Beast engine. I run Cobalt Eagle since he can shuffle himself back into the deck. Another option is of course Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. I know a lot of people run Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon with this engine, and honestly, I'm not really entirely sure why. The main benefit is obviously that it is a level 8, so it can actually work with your Dark End Evaporation for the fusion summon, which is definitely a benefit in this version of the deck, though most people don't run this version of the deck, so I still don't know why they're running this card in particular. Level 8, but you would have to normal summon him since his special summon ability requires another Crystal Beast on the field. So yeah, I wouldn't go for Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. Cobalt Eagle shuffles himself back into the deck, however, which means that you can reuse your Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. If you don't know, this card can be banished from the graveyard to add a Crystal Beast and any field spell from your deck to the hand. So we've got cards to put in the grave, that being your King Sarcophagus, send it straight from the hand, no problem, which is why we're allowed to run 3 of them, and 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods to send it straight from the deck. We've also of course got Terraforming, which adds any field spell at all. Now for the anti-meta stuff in the deck, we've got 3 Nibiru, 3 Skill Drain, and 1 There Can Only Be 1. Skill Drain. Nibiru wins you the duel, basically, great card. Skill Drain also wins you the duel, great card. None of our monsters, we don't need any of their effects. Our Horus stuff, their effects on the field aren't that fantastic, and if you stop your opponent's monster effects, they're probably never going to activate these effects anyway, so that's great. We will lose the benefit of Light and Darkness Dragon, but again, if we stop monster effects, we don't really need it, and we can always go into 38 if we want to. No, we can't because Skill Drain. And we can always go into Secret Village if we want to stop those spell cards as well. But yeah, all of these cards, they don't need their effects on the field. except Devil's Avatar, but just don't go into him, I guess, if that's the case. And there can only be one. All of our monsters have different types, so there can only be one does not affect us until we start bringing out our dragons. We've got quite a few dragons, but this is never going to slow us down, and if it stops our opponent, it's definitely worth it. Last thing to talk about with our extra deck is Experly Happiness. This card is our rank 7, which we can go into with Unicorn and Fenrir. I would normally just go into this, obviously, if you're going second or if it's your second turn. Experly Happiness. What Happiness does is during your main phase, you can detach a material to negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. So that just puts a stop to everything, hopefully, if you can get it out, which is going to be, gonna win you the duel. Like, this is an OTK deck, you're gonna win the duel if you stop everything. Other cards is, of course, our Link monsters, Little Knight and Masquerena, just for more interruption. Great cards. The extra deck could probably be updated a little bit. Any advice would be appreciated for this deck because I want it to be pretty good, especially on the extra deck. Maybe a few updates there, but I think it's pretty solid as is. And with the main deck as well, one thing that is missing is like Ash Blossom, Droll. I don't think they're as relevant nowadays. Definitely worth having, but I think everything that we've got in the deck so far is better than having the Ash Blossom. We can shut down monster effects anyway. We've got plenty of ways to do that. Maybe we'd want to swap out our Foolish Burial for Ash Blossom, but in any case, we can always put Ash and Droll in the side deck as well. Like, just in case our opponent, if they run a deck that Ash Blossom just completely shuts off, side or in, same with Droll or any of the hand traps that there is. So that is all for the deck profile. Very cool. Let me know what you think of this deck. Let me know any changes that you would make down in the comments. And for now, let's check out the deck replays.